The people at ATD, or the Association for Talent Development, were kind enough to reach out to me and ask if I could speak at one of their events. A number of people knew about this but could not attend, and have asked me, "Gee, Dan, could you at least post your slides or give us a bit of a summary of what you all discussed?" So what I'm going to do in this brief video is attempt to summarize the great discussion that we had. As you all know, the power of any presentation is not what the presenter says, but it's the discussion that takes place in the room. So there's no way that I can really duplicate that here, but what I will do is highlight some of the key points as we go through the slides. And although I will not read every word on the slides, I invite you to pause when you may want to, just so you can read some of the words. And if you have any questions afterwards, please just reach out to me for any conversation you may want to have. Change has never happened this fast before, and it will never be this slow again. Therefore, the development of skills, both at an individual and an organizational level, is more critical now than it's ever been before. Fortunately, this is also the century of the brain, where we're really understanding and hopefully applying how neuroscience and adult learning can enable us to produce much more effective learning and development programs. These programs use micro-learning, they space learning out, incorporate generative learning, other technologies like adaptive learning technologies, virtual reality, augmented reality, and use AI technology to finally enable us, if we choose to develop far more effective learning programs that really generate learning that sticks, that truly impacts individuals. Given all this, there are a number of emerging trends within the learning and development space. The greater use of video, use of microlearning, access to open source content, the curation of that content and other content, and of course the personalization of learning through these use of voice technologies, AI technology, etc. This is really great, and these trends, I believe, are really powerful. However, they also produce some opportunities and challenges. What I would like to do now is to look at these opportunities and challenges through 4 different perspectives. The perspective of organizations, of the learner, of the L&D discipline, and people that are vendors or providers of those services to organizations. So from an organization's perspective, what are some of the challenges? One is ignorance, that they really don't know that they need to transform their approach to learning and development. The second is confusion. They know they need to do something, but they don't know what. The third is lack of coordination. They may have lots of change activity taking place, digital transformation, etc., but the work is not really coordinated. And they don't even know how much money they should be investing to do this. But look at the opportunities. From an organization perspective, this really can dramatically enhance performance. It could also increase their ability to attract and retain the best talent. And through this sort of culture change, it really can produce a learning culture, a learning organization that really helps to reinforce the creativity and innovation within the organization. What are some of the challenges from a learner's perspective? One is ignorance or motivation. There are still many people who don't understand or are not motivated to continue to develop themselves and their skills. Or if they do have that motivation, they don't have the time to do it. And in many cases, they're not properly led. They're not working for the proper manager or supervisor who is actively involved in supporting their development on a daily basis. Of course, the opportunities for the learner are huge. It really can help establish their employability, and just not employability, but can support their advancement. And in a funny way, it really levels the playing field. Because of the limited shelf life of knowledge of accreditation, people now, if they're willing to really reinvent themselves and to continually grow and develop, can compete in any field they desire to. But what about the learning and development discipline? What are some of our challenges? One is skills. Do we really have what it takes to transform ourselves, to transform the organizations we support? Are we respected by our organizations? Do we really understand the business, how it operates, what the needs are, so we can make sure that we're putting the right solutions in place? And given all the emerging new vendors and technologies, do we really know what solutions to apply? Of course, the opportunities for our learning and development discipline are absolutely huge. I believe we can now can impact business performance in ways greater than we ever could before. And through that, we will earn more credibility, we can have much greater influence, and as a discipline, I believe we can really truly achieve to come into what you could call our golden age, a point where we really grow up as a discipline and really apply scientific knowledge to what we do. And what about the perspective of the vendors out there? One, they have a challenge of the customer. Does this customer really know what they need, that they need to transform their L&D? Are the vendors really connected within L&D space? Are they really known? And are these vendors really agile? Can they produce solutions that also have limited shelf life to move away from the 3 or 5 year contracts and be far more agile? If they can, there's a huge opportunities for the vendors out there because the market is certainly growing and the technology solutions are actually becoming more plentiful and lower in cost. And if they can do this, I believe they can form more powerful strategic relationships with other vendors, educational institutions, other bodies to really be far more creative in what they produce and how they get it out there to the market. So as we did during the ATD talk, I encourage all of you to reflect on the challenges and opportunities through each of these 4 lenses and ask yourself, what are the greatest challenges and what are those opportunities so that you can actually identify what is it that you believe you need to do to be far more effective in this space. As I reflect on all this, I believe that business-focused L&D strategies and initiatives are more critical now than they ever have been before. And I believe that all these breakthroughs in neuroscience and adult learning are great, but most of us in L&D are not really putting that knowledge into practice. And that as an L&D discipline, we're more chasing after these new technologies, in some cases falling in love with them, rather than effectively using them and guiding their development. So as an L&D discipline, most of us have been hacks. We've been more in the entertainment business than the development business. Given that, we really need to dramatically up our game to transform ourselves. And I believe the biggest obstacle that we have is ourselves. We have met the enemy and he is us. So as we did during the ATD presentation, I encourage you to reflect on these assertions, to develop your own assertions, to really identify how you feel about this changing world that we're all part of right now. And after that reflection, to ask yourself 2 simple questions. One is, what one thing, if we did it well, would increase the value and the impact of our work? And what is holding us back? What is keeping that from occurring? As I said earlier, I believe this is the greatest time to ever do the kind of work that we do. We just have to grow up and do it much better than we've ever done before. Thank you for taking the time to watch this brief video. Please now share your thoughts so we all can continue to learn from each other.